I'm sure you guys have heard of drinking while riding a motorcycle, but have you heard of drinking while working on a motorcycle? Well, let me show you what happens. This is your cam tower here. I snap this thing, trying to put it on. I mean, I don't usually do this kind of stuff, but sometimes when you're drinking and you're working on things, this kind of stuff can happen. This was a $100 part, by the way. $100. They don't make these parts anymore, so you have to buy them used because nobody breaks these. $100 is a lot for something like that. Luckily, I got my hands on one. You know, the reason it broke, I was in the process of re-shimming the valves, and then I was putting the cam back on, it snapped. But long story short, I did end up shimming it, but when I went to check it the next day after being sober, I'm measuring it, I'm like, this is way off. I messed this all up. The intake valve was way too loose, and both the exhaust valves were way too tight, which the whole point of doing this was to get this bike to start easier. So I wasn't doing it any favors. So long story short, I figured I would make a video on how to do the valves on these. Pretty straightforward. If you guys are interested, keep watching and we'll go from there. All right, guys, so I got this CRF4, or it's not a 450, it's a 250. My buddy just bought this, and we went out on the trails with it once, and he probably spent more time trying to get this thing to start after he would stall it than actually riding it. Like, no joke, you know, it's super hot out, and we're trying to kick this thing over like so many times before it would run, you know. And when you're trail riding, every time you're stall out on a hill or something, you're on an incline, and this thing's stalling out, so it's kind of miserable. So I kind of told him that I would help him out and try to get it to run a little easier. Once it starts, it rips pretty well. So currently, right now, I'm doing a valve job on it, thinking that these might have an issue. So I've got it apart, the valve head off, super easy, just these two bolts. Got the cam, and so let me show you. I measured the intake and exhaust clearances. This is what I came up with here. So you have your left intake, right intake, left exhaust, right exhaust. So it's about 0.03 mil tight on both of these. And then this one's good on the right. On the left, it's loose. I could probably actually go a little tighter than the 0.03, but I think I'm going to start with that. Yeah, so first thing you do with this, when you want to pull the cam off, you're just going to want to make sure that you loosen your cam tensioner, your chain tensioner. And then after that, it's just a matter of pulling the cam off. Super easy. So let's do that. This is how the cam tensioner works. Basically, you want to stick a flathead screwdriver down here, and you're gonna find the screw in here, and you're gonna rotate it clockwise like this, and you'll feel it kind of spring. Like, this is hard to turn. And what I'm doing is backing the tensioner out and basically loosening it so that I can loosen the chain. You're supposed to make a tool to do this. I didn't have the metal to do it, so I use a screwdriver, and then I'll show you how I keep it there. So this is ingenuity at its finest. Got the screwdriver in there, I've rotated it, and I used a zip tie on the carb to keep the screwdriver so it won't rotate back, because it is spring loaded. If you don't hold it, it'll just rotate back, and you can see that the chain is loose. So I'm going to keep it like this for the duration of the rebuild. So I'm just going to pull the towers off here, 1, 2, and these 4 bolts. Okay, so I got my new valves. This one's a little bigger. These two are a little smaller. Now I'm gonna take them. So let's show you quick. Take my intake shim, and I'll place it right into the stem. Boom, now I got my stem in there, or I got my shim on my stem. This is perfect. And I'm gonna do that both for the exhaust as well. All right, I made another whoopsies. I got the chain off the sprocket at the crank. I tried to get it back on, but I can't seem to. So I'm gonna have to pull the case off, the cover off, and hopefully be able to get to it. Yeah, this sucks. So you can see right here where the chain got stuck. So I had to pull this case off just to get to that. It's whatever. I'm not even gonna worry about replacing the gasket, but I'm gonna have to change the oil now. That's fine. Yeah, I was having trouble putting it on. I was like, why can't I get this cam on? I'm looking down, I'm like, oh shit, the the chain is just totally stuck. So I was like, this is so weird. I was like, there's no way I'm doing this wrong, because last time I did it, it took me like 30 seconds. So I'm gonna fix it and hopefully get it back. I was finally able to get this thing back on. Took way longer than I wanted. Got the cam on. This shim, I had to redo the shim again. It was too tight, so I put a looser one in. It seems to be good now. Fix this valve. Everything should be good. I was fighting with this because I got the chain off the rail down here. The chain comes down through here. You can see it right there. It goes down. That got off its rail. That took me almost half an hour to get that back. I've never experienced that on a bike before, but I guess that's how it goes on these old Hondas. So I'm going to, now that I know it's all shimmed properly, I'll put the towers back on and see if she rips. I appreciate you guys watching. If you like this kind of stuff, I'm gonna get the bike running and I have to put it all back together. I've got the whole bike over there and pretty much all over this garage. And I think I'm gonna go rip it on the trails Sunday. Today's Friday. So yeah, stick around. I'll get the bike back together. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.